Hello viewers, welcome to UN Digital Class. In today's lecture, I am going to discuss about digital signature. Before going to the digital signature, first of all we have to know about what is the requirement of digital signature in network security. Before digital signature, in network security we use the message authentication to protect the two parties who exchange the information from the third party. But this message authentication does not protect the two parties against each other. For example, suppose Alice and Bob are two parties who want to exchange information between them. Then Alice wants to send some information to the Bob. When Alice send information or send a message to the Bob, suppose Bob receives this message, but after receiving this message, Bob can modify that message and claim that the message is modified by the Alice or the message is sent by the Alice, which is nothing but it is a forgery. In the similar manner, suppose Alice send a message to the Bob, but after sending this message, Alice deny that the message is not sent by him because there is a chance to modify this message by the Bob. To avoid such type of forgery, digital signature come into the picture. Now, let us start. What is digital signature? Digital signature is nothing but it is a technique that binds person or entity to the digital data. And here this binding can be independently verified by the receiver as well as the third party. Which means in digital signature here the identity of the person or entity who sends the message is bind with that message. That is nothing but that is the digital signature, and this signature is verified by the receiver or any other third party. Digital signature is a cryptographic value that is calculated from the data and the secret key known only to the signer. That means digital signature is a cryptographic value and that value is calculated from the data or the message sent by the sender and the secret key or private key of the sender. These two things are generated the signature for the sender. Next, digital signature provide the ability to verify the author and date and time of the signature. And it also authenticates the message content that is sent by the sender. Next, it can be verified by the third party to resolve the dispute. That means here the signature is always generated by the sender, and that signature is a authenticated signature that can be verified by the receiver or any other third party by using some verification algorithm. Now look at the digital signature model. In this model, here is the Bob and here is the Alice. Suppose Bob is the sender, so that Bob generates its digital signature. For generating its digital signature, Bob used the digital signature algorithm or digital signature generation algorithm. Now look at this algorithm. This algorithm takes two input. One is the message M, another one is the Bob's private key. That means here the digital signature generation algorithm taking these two input and it generates the signature, that is the S, which is the Bob's signature for message M. Now look at here. Here this is the message which is transmitted over the network, and this message is nothing but that contains our original message M and the Bob's signature S. That means here the message is appended with the signature and it transmitted over the network to the Alice. Now look at the Alice. Here the Alice uses the digital signature verification algorithm. Now this digital signature verification algorithm takes the input, that is the message M, and the signature of the Bob, and it also takes the Bob's public key. By using these three things, it verifies the signature of the Bob and returns signature valid or not valid. which means in this model Bob used the digital signature generation algorithm for generating the digital signature and Alice used the digital signature verification algorithm for verifying that signature, whether that signature is valid or not. Now look at this figure. This figure is nothing but it shows the details about the digital signature generation algorithm and the digital signature verification algorithm. Now look at the Bob side. Here at the Bob side, a cryptographic hash function is used by the Bob, and this cryptographic hash function takes the message M as input and it produces a hash value that is the small h. Now here one encryption algorithm is used and that encryption algorithm takes the hash value and the Bob's private key and it generates the signature that is S, and this S is nothing but that is the Bob's signature for the message M. That means here this part is nothing but this is the signature generation algorithm or digital signature generation algorithm, which means here the digital signature generation algorithm use the cryptographic hash function and generates the hash value, then use one encryption algorithm and the Bob's private key to generate the signature. Now look at the Alice side. At Alice side, it verifies the digital signature of the Bob, and for verification it uses one digital signature verification algorithm. Now look at here. Here this is the cryptographic hash function, and this cryptographic hash function takes the message M and it generates the hash value that is H. Now look at here, this is the digital signature of the Bob. Now Alice takes this digital signature of the Bob and decrypt this signature by using the Bob's public key. After decrypting, it gets the hash value. When it generates the hash value, then the hash value generated by using the cryptographic hash function and the hash value which is generated by decrypting the signature, now both the hash values are compared. If these two hash values are equal, that means Alice assures that the signature is a valid signature. If these two hash values are different, that means there is some forgery in the signature. In this way, the Alice verifies the signature of the Bob. That means here this shows the verification algorithm. And in verification algorithm, Alice used the cryptographic hash function. It generates the hash value of the original message M and it decrypts the signature of the Bob to generate the hash value which is transmitted by the Bob to the Alice. After generating these two hash value, then Alice compare these two hash value for returning the signature is valid or not. When these two hash values are same, that means the signature is valid, otherwise the signature is an invalid signature. In this way, the digital signature algorithm generates the signature and verifies the signature. Now, look at the difference between signature generation algorithm and signature verification algorithm. Here, you must remember that the signature generation algorithm always used by the sender who wants to send a message by generating the signature. And the signature verification algorithm is always used by the receiver or any other third party. Now look at the signature generation algorithm. Here in signature generation algorithm, one cryptographic hash function is used. That hash function generates the hash value and encrypt this hash value by using the encryption algorithm and the sender's private key to generate the signature for the sender. Now look at here, in the signature verification algorithm, it also uses a cryptographic hash function and generates the hash value. But here, this generated hash value is compared with the received hash value. That means From the received signature, the receiver decrypts this signature and produce the hash value. Now here both the hash values are compared to find out whether the signature is a valid signature or not. Next, attacks on digital signature. Here A denotes the user whose signature method is being attacked, and C is nothing but that is the attacker. Now look at the first attack, that is the key only attack. In this attack, the attacker C only know the user, that is A's public key. Next one is the known message attack. In this attack, the attacker C is given access to a set of messages and their signature. That means here the attacker have the access to the message of the user and the signature. That is the known message attack. Next one is the generic chosen message attack. In this attack, the attacker chooses a list of messages before attempting to break a signature. And here the attacker does not use the public key of the user A. That means in generic attack, here the attacker chooses a list of messages sent by the user A and break it without using the public key of the user A. So that it is called the generic message attack. Next one is the direct chosen message attack. In this attack, it is very similar to the generic message attack. But the difference is that the list of messages to be signed is chosen after C knows the A's public key. Which means here the attacker C chooses the message after knowing the user A's public key. But in generic message attack, there the attacker C chooses the message before knowing the A's public key. That is the difference between generic chosen message attack and direct chosen message attack. Next one is the adaptive chosen message attack. Here C may request from A's signature of message that depend upon previously obtained message signature pair, which means in this attack the attacker C requests to A's signature message, and that message is nothing but that is the previously sent message. Next is the forgery in digital signature. In forgery, first one is the total break. In total break, in this case, the C, that is the attacker, determines A's private key. When the attacker determines the user's private key, then we can say that it is a total forgery. Next one is the universal forgery. In universal forgery, C finds an efficient signing algorithm that provides an equivalent way of constructing signatures on arbitrary messages. That means in universal forgery, the attacker finds an efficient signing algorithm, and by using that algorithm, the attacker generates the signature by taking any arbitrary message. That is the universal forgery. Next, selective forgery. In selective forgery, the attacker C forges a signature for a particular message chosen by C, that is the attacker. That means here in selective forgery, the attacker forges a signature for a particular message, and that message is chosen by the attacker. Then next one is the extensial forgery. In extensial forgery, the attacker C forges a signature for at least one message, and here C has no control over the message. Consequently, this forgery may only be a mirror nuisance to A. That means in extensial forgery, the attacker C forges a signature for at least one message. That is the extensial forgery. Next, digital signature requirements. And here the requirements are based upon the attacks and forgery made in digital signature. Now look at the first requirement. That is, the signature must be bit pattern that depends upon the message being signed, which means here the signature depends upon the message. Next one is the signature must use some information unique to the sender to prevent both forgery and denial, which means here the sender use some identical information or use some secret information which is not known to the receiver or any other third party, and that information is only known to the sender. Next, it must be relatively easy to produce a digital signature, because if the digital signature can be easily produced by the sender, then the sender can easily generate the digital signature, and by using this digital signature the sender sends its message. Next one is it must be relatively easy to recognize and verify the digital signature. That means here the digital signature must be verified by the receiver and any other third party. Next one is it must be computationally infeasible to forge a digital signature, which means the digital signature must be computationally infeasible for the attacker to generate this digital signature. Next one, it must be practical to retain a copy of the digital signature in storage. That means when the sender generates its own digital signature, that signature must be stored in a storage so that this signature can be used in later for verification purpose. Next one is the direct digital signature. Here the term direct digital signature refers to the scheme that the communication can only be happen between the two parties, that is the sender and the receiver, or the source and destination. And in this scheme the public key of the sender is known to the receiver. Next is the digital signature made by sender signing entire message or the hash value with the private key of the sender. That means in direct digital signature scheme, when the sender generates its own digital signature, that signature must be generated from the original message directly or the hash value with the private key of the sender. Here it can encrypt using receiver's public key. That means the direct digital signature scheme, it encrypts the message by using the receiver's public key. Next one is important that sign first then encrypt message and signature, which means in direct digital signature scheme the most important thing is that is first sign then encrypt the message and signature. Next one is security depends upon the sender's private key, which means in this scheme the security basically depends upon the sender's private key, because this sender's private key is used for generating the signature of the sender. This is all about the digital signature. In digital signature, you must remember that this digital signature is basically used for providing the better security and the authentication of the sender. And this digital signature is nothing but that is very similar to our physical signature. And this digital signature always provides the identity of the sender who sends the message. If you have any doubt regarding this digital signature, then you can ask me through comment. I will reply you and discuss about your doubt. Thank you for watching.